Hi, and welcome to the Flute Talk podcast, where we talk about all things flute and answer your questions live on YouTube. If you want to help us out, be sure to subscribe to our channel and add us to your podcast feed over on iTunes or Google Play. And if you want to represent TFC, head over to our merch store for t-shirts, stickers, mugs, and posters. You can go to designbyhumans.com/shop/theflutechannel.
We all need sheet music, and we're proud to announce that we're working with Sheet Music Plus, home of the world's largest sheet music selection, and is a proud sponsor of the Flute channel. Listeners will receive 15% off their order with the coupon code TFC15. So be sure to go and check out Sheet Music Plus for all your sheet music needs. And the coupon is good until July 31st, 2018.
Finally, if you're looking into buying a new flute, be sure to check out the Flute Center of New York at flutesforsale.com. With our code TFC at checkout, you'll be able to try up to 3 flutes or piccolos for 10 days, and whichever instrument you choose, you get an extended 18th month warranty on it. So be sure at checkout to put in the special code TFC at flutesforsale.com. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Flute Talk podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Amélie.
How's it going, Emily?
Very good. And how are you?
I'm good. It's been a far easier live streaming day than previous days, which is great. But we had a good time this morning. You were playing Mozart's Flute and Harp Concerto.
Yep.
With the Tom Plays software, and you had a good time. There was a good crowd.
Yeah.
It was cool. There's people from everywhere. There's people from Korea and China and Kentucky and here in Canada and stuff like that, and a lot of people from Europe. A lot of people were appreciating that they weren't watching at 2 a.m. anymore. Sometimes we do things at late at night. We did some podcasts sometimes at 7:30, and so it's like 2 or 3 in the morning for some people.
Morning is good for people.
Morning, I guess, is good, or in early afternoon for most people. Well, not for China and Korea. It was 2 a.m. for them, but you know.
Wow.
And then for 7 p.m. when we used to do it at 7, it was like 7 in the morning to them, I think, roughly. Right?
So
something
people
like
still
that.
watch live.
Yeah, people watch live
That's
apparently,
amazing.
so that's really cool. So today we're going to be answering any of your questions you have online. If you're in the chat, be sure to ask us any questions. We'll be sure to try to answer them. In the meantime, we get a lot of questions about high notes still and air and the sound. Those 2 videos are our top videos, but we always get comments from those videos, and we've done them a while ago. I know high notes one we did about a year ago, so it was pretty recent. And I think both were pretty recent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there things you want to... I know that there were some things we always wanted to add, and we will add in a video, but are there things that...
Well, because I teach, so I see different things
That
all
too,
the time,
yeah.
and I'm always trying to figure out what I can do, you know? Because you can teach and ask yourself what you're, just be in that paradigm of my student's not doing the right thing, but you can also be like, how can I help,
Yeah.
And I'm in the how can I help paradigm, not. Yeah. What I feel is that when we're scared of something, we tend to overwork and we want too much. I think high notes, very often, there's a psychological component to it.
Mm-hmm.
I see students playing very well in the low notes, and then when they get to high notes, their whole face crunches up,
Mm-hmm.
They work with their nose, and they don't even notice. And when I say, they're like, oh, it's true. Sometimes it takes a while before they notice. They, no, I don't do that. I say, look at yourself in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes, last week, I said to a student, it worked fine. I said, that high G, play me a low G, first octave.
Mm-hmm.
Now don't move anything. Play the exact same way, your high G. And it was beautiful. Because there's a slight change between low and high, but it's so tiny.
Mm-hmm.
But people overdo it because they want too much.
Right.
You have to trust your body, And I think I would practice in front of a mirror and try to see if you're doing something that makes too much contraction, like doing, lifting your nose or, all the muscles around the nose. And also sometimes people will use the upper lip and push it forward, and then it covers the hole, and then there's no more whistling. Because by wanting too much, you start doing movements that not only are not helpful, but are detrimental to your sound. When really what you need to do is keep pretty much the same embouchure and just bring some airspeed. It's pretty much it.
Pretty much it.
If something moves around the embouchure, it's going to be the lower lip is going to go a tiny bit forward, but the upper lip is going to stay the same, close to the teeth. For me, it's like that. For my students, that's what works best, you know. If I saw a student that did it a different way, and I'm not saying, you know, we all have different teeth, different, like, we have to figure out our own way, but that's the, you know, that's the main basics of it. I think. But I think when we want too much, we bring crispation in our body. Do you say that? Like we become
constricted?
Tense. Yeah,
and tense. And we become tense. Yeah, tense. There's a lot of tension.
Then we close the throat. We, you know, we pull muscles that move things around, and yeah, it's, you know, trust. It's about trusting yourself and trusting your body, and maybe visualizing yourself and then doing it. It's a different way of working than just, I'm going to work and make it work. And it's a more detached way of working.
A way of working, it's true.
Visualize yourself, almost like a meditation type of thing. Okay, what sound do I want? Hear it in your head. Look at yourself in the mirror. Okay, my best sounding note is this one. Now, I'm going to look. What am I doing? Okay, now I'm not going to move anything, and I'm going to try to do that other note I have difficulties with. And open, when you play high notes, open the back of the mouth. Oh, as if you had an egg in the back of your mouth. Because if you keep it open, it's going to resonate in your head. It's going to help your sound. But I think that psychological component of trusting yourself and bringing this trust and this calm in your body, so that when you practice, you implement the right thing in your brain, you know, because you're imprinting things in your brain. Do you want to imprint this, or this tension, or you want to imprint something that's calm and implicates trust and all those things, you know? It's also about being careful what you're saying to yourself while you're playing.
Totally.
It's a bit different from the video we made about it, you know?
No, yeah, it's a different perspective.
It's a different perspective. The video we made was more technical, but that's like, because you can understand the technical aspect, but if you're so tense and you want too much, yeah.
Yeah. Grace Pupkiewicz, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, wants to know, how do you play in the high register without pushing your bottom lip out? I try it and it just sounds bad. Thanks.
I push it a bit, not out, like not like I don't pout.
No pouting.
I just push a tiny bit. Did you say upper lip or lower lip?
The bottom lip, yes, lower.
Yeah, lower lip. I move it a little bit.
A little time, like millimeters.
It's very tiny.
Very tiny. Yeah.
But it's all about airspeed. So what's her name?
Grace.
Grace, you should try to do this. You should try to go put your hand on your belly and do and feel the difference, you know, feel where the muscles are working to do that sound, and then do the same without singing, just with the air. I don't know if people hear in the microphone, but you can
hear really well. Like, I mean,
and I do the same thing with my belly that I was doing then. And then you do the exact same thing with your flute. And you can change the airspeed.
That's a good example, yeah.
And I even change the angle a little bit, you know. But it's so integrated. We can't dissect everything. It's integrated movements, you know. But that's the main thing, the airspeed. And keeping everything open, especially the back of the mouth. You know, like a singer, you use your resonators. I'd like to know if it's helping, if it's working.
Yeah, we'll see if she replies
later. But you can move the lower lip a tiny bit, like I'll show for people who are watching, but... Here's a very tiny movement. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's there because I've seen it in the... And that's the thing. That's why I say you have to trust your body
I'll have
at
to do
some
some
point.
close-up micro shots of that one day.
Yeah, you have to trust your body at some point because you don't... While you're doing it, you don't really have a conscious control over that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your body knows better than you in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you go down a flight of stairs very fast, if you start it, you don't analyze what muscle is doing what. It just works because we're coordinated, you know. It's the same in the flute. You coordinate that. All those movements become one. And I think it's part of how you practice, what type of mind frame you put yourself in when you try to... and you know, you still have to do it a lot, so you it becomes so natural.
Yeah, I think so.
Becomes natural, but if you feel tensed and everything, put it down, so you don't print that type of thing in your brain. You don't print that tension.
Exactly.
You know, try to be mindful of how you are feeling in your body and your head while you're playing, so that this type of energy is what you're printing. I don't know. I think it's
Hopefully that'll help. Totally.
yeah. But you can move it a little bit, this lip. But I would say look at yourself in the mirror when you practice your sound. It's very helpful because sometimes people, I tell them, oh, you're doing that. They're like, no. And then they look, oh, yeah, I'm doing that. Because we don't have a very good conscience of our body.
No. Right. Sometimes we kind of lose sense of where our body is.
Totally. I do Pilates, and the teacher, now it's better because I've been doing it for a few months, but sometimes she moves me because I'm completely out of line. I'm like, wow, my head was there or my hips were there, and I had no idea. I thought they were in line, you know? Then I feel it, but now I feel it better and better because I have this. That's why a teacher can be good, but a mirror can also
helps,
be very good.
And just always kind of like every couple minutes, just readjust yourself and find something else than what you're already in, because it might not be where you're comfortable.
The thing I used when I was a student is also when I had a bad habit I wanted to get rid of, I would find a good way to say it. Like I wouldn't say don't bring your head forward, because that's a negative way to say it, and the brain will just see head forward and you're going to put your head forward, you know? I would say, keep your head in line. And I would write that on my stand, and then I would bring my head back, you know, or bring your head back, because I had a tendency to bring my head forward.
Right.
So you see it, you're a bit like your own coach, because we only have, some people don't have teachers, and even when you have one, it's once a week, but you practice maybe... I used to practice, I don't know, 15 hours a week or 20 hours a week. And 1 hour was with my teacher. So most of the time you have to be your own coach.
Yeah. The German Hales, which I think he also bought an album, which was cool. One of our albums.
That's so nice.
We have an album, guys. If you want to buy our album, support us more. It's Écoutez, ECOUTER at bandcamp.com. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out later.
There's flute, cello, and
flute
piano.
And cello and piano, and there's classical music, there's modern music, there's tango, there's some folk music too from Canada.
And I play the piano.
And you play the piano too, yeah.
Some pieces you play the flute, some pieces I play the flute,
yeah,
some pieces
we
both play the flute.
Yeah. Not with just one flute, but two flutes.
There's even a song.
Yeah, there's a song too as well. It's a very diverse and cool album. We love doing it. German Hales, he wants to know... who were your flutists that were your inspiration when you were a student? Back in the 70s, I had Julius Baker, Rampal, and Galway, as well as their own teacher. What were your inspirations when you were a kid, or when you were a student? Because a student could be he could be a student at any age, but yeah.
I really liked Galois, because Well, he plays very well, and
Gallois,
also
Patrick Gallois.
Patrick
Yeah.
Gallois. He has this
Yeah.
originality. He's very smart, and he analyzes things his own way, and then he comes up with his own way of doing things. I think it's interesting. Yeah. And there was Paris that was coming every summer in Quebec, and I went and saw him a few times. It was cool. My generation.
Not like people at your age. I mean, when you were
No, but
he
like people
means,
who were the most
who you thought you were listening
out there
to
when I
well-known,
was in
Yeah.
those years. Yeah. And I and you know, Galway as well, and
Yeah, I would say like Galway. Eric Dolphy was really good too. The jazz player Eric Dolphy. And who else? I like Still. I listened to her even back then. Even when I was a student, I listened to Alexa Still. She had some albums out. She was very good. The Boast is the best, I thought. And I heard him live about 10 years ago. He played Fawn. That was like a flute I'd never heard before. So it was like...
I used to read him in the Flute Talk every month.
Yeah, like really not the French sound, but it was really the sound from a past that a lot of people don't necessarily want to learn. Like it's different. So he has a different type of... And he's also just full of a lot of experience and full of a lot of different musical tastes. He understands a lot of styles very well.
I think
it was really
a
crazy
very
how
smart
it happened.
man, and he's such a great teacher.
Yeah.
I read his book, A Simple Flute.
Yeah, Simple Flute. Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing how he's refined and he thinks about details. But I didn't have the chance to hear him live or to play for him in a masterclass or anything.
He's incredible. He's a very interesting teacher. It was very interesting hearing him teach, and then hearing him play. It was just like,
well,
what
I
the
was
heck is
listening
this?
to recordings and
I didn't really listen to his recordings. I really like I only heard him live, and then I started listening to his albums, and his albums are good too.
I was also lucky. I saw Alain Marion.
Yeah, you saw Marion. Marion is a great sound. One of the best sound. He has one of the best recording sounds I've ever heard for recording. I never heard him live. But
amazing energy, that man. Amazing energy
Alain
when
Marion,
he played.
yeah.
Alain Marion. And Maxence Larieux, I had a couple of his albums, and
I heard
really
Larieux play. He's cool.
Very some refinement in his playing, but those guys had a different sound.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's more of a flute sound.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes nowadays, but it's just my opinion, you know, it's not...
it's not something that's,
But we have this willingness to play the flute like a trombone sometimes,
Right,
you know?
right.
And I'm like, why don't you play the trombone then?
Yeah, well, that's why I appreciate people like Dolphy and even Hubert Laws. They didn't play it like a trombone. They played it like this cool instrument. It was supposed to be a cool instrument, like in those
Because we
in the
want to play
60s,
so
70s,
loud
80s, and 50s.
I like playing loud too, but sometimes I feel it's cool if you use it.
It's already sharp enough. It pierces through everything, you know?
And also, I feel it's cool if you use it as a color here and there.
Yeah.
But if you play a whole piece like that, personally, I feel... I don't feel like it's the flute that I love, you know? But it's a question of taste. Sometimes when people use that sound too much, personally, I feel it's a bit like... a little bit to show off, you know. Look what I can do with my flute. But musically, I don't feel that it's as touching a sound as that type of old sound that was just pure and beautiful.
Yeah.
But I like both.
Yeah.
But I like when people can go back and forth.
Yeah.
Not just. Well, that's.
It's just your taste. Yeah, that's
my
it.
taste.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of being considerate and being able to play. Having the confidence in what you're playing also helps a lot. You know, like knowing, like when you're on the stage and you're playing, you know, you're not a showing off confidence, but a confidence of like, here's what I have to show you type of thing, and like everyone, you know, like listen. I don't know. It's a
that's a different topic.
Different topic,
though.
yeah. So yeah, those are our influences. Yeah, there's many more. Yeah.
Yeah, and I listen to a lot of different instruments as well.
Yeah.
And I
listen
even
to
like
so much, yeah.
going to master classes of different instruments, and I want to do it more.
Right. Yeah, we
'Cause,
went to Oberlin. That
sometime-
was cool. Wait, Oberlin? No, we went to Orford. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a flute one. But in the winter, I went to a piano one. But I also play the piano, so that was kind of logical. But even sometimes I went to singing master classes, and I thought it was so interesting.
Yeah, it's also cool listening to other people, other types of music that play the style that you're playing too, and maybe even listening to other compositions from those composers that you're learning from can shed some light. And like I like listening to Glenn Gould. Glenn Gould was really cool. I also like listening to certain orchestras because certain orchestras play a lot differently than other orchestras, like Bernstein's orchestras and Mahler. Argerich, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I used to listen to Mahler a lot.
Her personality, she's full of energy and you know.
Going for it, yeah. Type of thing.
Very musical, very like music going. I like musicians like you feel that the music is going through them. You know, it's not an ego thing. It's really like they're possessed by the music almost. You know, it's just they're the canal the music is going through kind of thing. They kind of forget themselves in the music.
Right.
You know, I don't know. And those are the best experience as a player too. When you forget, you're like
you're in the moment.
Yourself is dissolved for a moment. You know,
yeah, for a moment, totally.
You're just. You're not. You're the music. You're what you're doing.
Oh, you're just in that moment. Yeah, you're with
like when you're a
ether.
little tiny kid and you play. Kids play with such passion. You know, they're just there. They don't think about past, future, what people think of them. They just play with that full intention. You know, when you play music like that, it's the best. It's the I think that's why people love playing music so much.
I think so too, yeah.
It brings you in that flow, you know? Not that many things give you that in life.
No.
Usually creative things give you that.
Totally. Absolutely.
I'm digressing a lot today.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Not to be sorry, but that's why it's called it. That's why we have this session we have where therapy is in session. Yeah. Also, let us know where you guys are from. Let us know in the comments where you guys are listening from, and we'd like to know. Our next question is from Cadis Kane, or Condis Kane. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. YouTube names are always funny. How do I get vibrato on a very high note? Like, can I get vibrato on most notes, but the highest register is harder to get a good note? But the highest register is harder to get a good vibrato on for me.
Okay. Let's see.
It is hard sometimes, yeah. Ooh. We need more energy up in the high register to make it a faster vibrato, that's for sure.
Yeah, and if you have a tendency to close the back of your mouth, you're not going to be able to do it. Because if you go...
No. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you need more energy. Maybe you need to open more. And also, if you're pushing very hard, maybe you won't have that flexibility, you know, that allows you to vibrate. If you go to... you know, that type of with the air, then the airstream is so straight that you can't, and so intense that you can't vibrate on it.
No.
So you need that openness and that to be able to do it. If you're doing a super forte accent, I probably wouldn't be able either, you know? I might be that. It's always difficult to give advice when you don't see or hear the person.
Yeah.
But that's what I can imagine from the question.
We also had another question here. Oh yeah, by Victor Coco. Wants to know, what does your vision? Where does your vision direct you? Where does your vision direct to for helping yourself with learning positioning of finger placement?
Okay, because what does he mean? You don't
I guess
see
like
your
yeah.
fingers,
So how do
it's-
you I guess so how do you direct yourself to put?
So right now you're learning the fingerings.
I guess so. Learning position of the fingerings, the
Where to
position.
put your
where to
fingers.
put your fingers. You know, like a lot of videos lately on a couple of YouTube channels are talking about like how to hold the flute, the rock stroke, and all those different types of things, and knowing where the hand's supposed to go, and you know how to get the least amount of tension.
Okay.
So I guess that's what he means. If that's not what you mean, please let us know in the comments, and we'll
what
get back to
I
we'll go back
understand
to
from
it.
the question is finger placement. I mean, where to put your fingers. But your brain is supposed at
Because he
one
says
point
learning
to just...
positioning of finger placement. So positioning of finger placement. So positioning. So I guess it's position. We'll find out in a second. But yeah, let's roll
How
with
to
that.
hold the flute or where the fingers go.
It doesn't elaborate.
Okay, but let's say holding the flute. One thing is sure, your fingers should not be holding your flute.
No.
Except for your thumb of the right hand.
Yeah.
The other fingers have to be completely free.
Yeah, to make the notes happen.
To be able to move
Yeah.
and make the... Yeah.
Notes happen, yeah.
So you have to be able to hold your flute with only your thumb. And not even your pinky, nothing, and it holds,
Yeah,
you know?
please have somebody around you, so just in case you don't drop your flute when you try this.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Yeah.
I now have a thumb port, which
Yeah,
is...
thumb ports help.
I love it.
Totally. Thumb ports help for most people.
It's
yeah,
very
it's
cool.
where to put fingers. That's what he says. Where to put fingers.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for elaborating.
I think we have a video about that.
Yeah, sorta.
Where to
Fingering
I think
position
it's
for
where
the flute.
to put the fingers.
Yeah, where to put
It's
the
like
fingers or
first
something like that.
3 lessons.
Maybe.
I teach where to put the fingers, how to do your first sound, little things like
Right.
that. There's a playlist, I think.
Yeah, there's a playlist.
I made them in French and in English, those ones.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you skip the first one, you put your index on the second one, you skip the third one, you put the other 2 fingers there. That's the left hand. And then in the back, you put your thumb on the key, but there are 2 keys. You don't put it on the B flat key, you put it on the other one here. So on the one that's in the back. Okay. And then you put the 3 last keys on the right hand. You put your 3 middle fingers there. And then the pinky next to it on the E flat key. And that's where you put your fingers. I guess that's what he means.
Guess so. Yeah. Try that.
Yeah. And then sometimes in the beginning when I have beginners and they have difficulties with the fingerings, we just do fingerings like this.
Right.
You know, like B-A-G. And we say it. Because if you say it and you do it, you have twice the information going to your brain, you know? And it's more powerful. So you go B-A-G-A-B-B-B-A-A-B-D-D, you know? And then you play. So you don't have all that stuff of doing a sound, moving your fingers, learning your fingerings all at once, you know?
Right.
When it's difficult, I tend to cut in smaller
chunks? Like smaller chunks and
you know?
smaller pieces?
So
yeah.
your brain has less to think about.
Yeah.
You can focus on
Totally.
that and create some type of automaticism there, and then add another layer on top.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that helps. We're getting to the halfway point of the show, and just want to let everybody know about the things that are going on and how you can help us out more on the Flute channel. One way to do it is going on patreon.com/the Flute channel, and you can help us there by donating as little as $1 or $2 a month. That helps us put money into the show and all the videos that we do, and make us do this longer
And have
more time to do it. Yeah, because time is limited and our resources are limited, and this would really help us out. That's at patreon.com/the Flute channel. Also, if you're looking into buying a new flute, you can definitely check out the Flute Center of New York, and you can do this worldwide, and use our code TFC, where you can try up to 3 or 4 flutes, and you can try them for up to 10 days, and you get an extended warranty, which is traditionally it's 12 months, but you get an 18-month warranty, and it's free shipping when you choose to actually buy the flute that you want. And yeah, it's really great. So you can go to flutesforsale.com. Flutesforsale.com with a 4 in the middle, flutes, the number 4, sale.com, and use our code TFC, and that helps us out tremendously. Because we get a full transparency, we get a cut from each sale, and that definitely goes into our channel and helps us out to make more stuff as well. So if you're looking into buying a new flute, they have the world's largest collection of flute brands. Any flute brand you can think of, they have it there, and they can send it to you, and you can try it up for 10 days. So we should use our TFC.
Sheet music.
Yep, and our next thing is our sheetmusicplus.com, where you can go and check in the description box. We have links to that. But until July 31st, you can get up to 15% off of your first purchases if you use the code TFC15. And that helps us out tremendously as well. That's until July 31st, but there's also a code as well that you can click. That's Flutes for, I think it's sheetmusicplus.com/m/TFC. And that also helps us. You don't get 15% off, but anything you purchase, we also get a percentage off of each one of your sales. And that goes on forever. So yeah, you can do that as well. Also, we have a flute festival coming up next month, August 15th, 16th, and 17th here, where Emily's going to be teaching. And so will flutist Alexis Still from Oberlin Conservatory. And that's the Montreal Flute Festival. So you can check that out at montrealflutefestival.com. And that's, like I said, August 15th, 16th, and 17th. And you can register there if you want to play or if you want to just observe. We have classes all day. It's all flute all day from 9 to 5 for 3 days. And there's a concert at the end. And it's really a fun time for all of us to hang out. We get to see people here in the chat section in real life. And we get to hang out and learn flute and talk about stuff. And it's just really cool. And it's in the heart of Montreal, and you can check that out if you want to sign up. We still have spots available. And montrealflutefestival.com, and that helps us as well. That helps us directly with producing stuff here and producing stuff for the festival and such like that. So on to another question. I think that's everything. That's the spiel for today. Do you have any advice? Austin the Victorian Orchid wants to know, do you have any advice on double tonguing? They have a hard time with it. Merci.
Okay. I think you should start by working on the ka, because probably if you don't have problem single tonguing, then the ta is probably okay. So you just go ka ka ka. So ka, it's like karate or cocktail or
cocktail,
you know. It's the back of your mouth. You know, it closes. It's just that. So you go ka 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 when you don't put a vowel in it, just and then you do it while playing.
Right. Yeah.
Be careful when you tongue not to move your lips. Like I tell my students that's a mask. So you don't move the mask, you know? There's no lip movement. It's all inside the mouth that it's happening. So, and then you go taka, taka, taka.
Yeah,
so you double each note. So, so at first I would just practice it like that. You can double the notes. You can do them 4 times. Taka, 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 ta. You can do your scales like that. Then when you're more comfortable, you'll have to learn how to change the tongue and the fingers at the same time and have those two being synchronized. So. You know? Yeah.
Right.
But that's the other level of it. And another way to practice it is to go backwards. Kata, 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 kata. Then when you do it forward, taka, 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 it gets easier. And I would advise to practice it a lot without your flute. While you do the dishes, while you take a walk, while you wait for the bus, anything. Taka, 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 taka. So it just becomes so easy. there's no mystery, you know. You do it a lot, it's gonna get easy.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. That goes to another question. Katie Diamond wants to know, do you have any tips for maintaining a good tone while rapidly changing high notes?
Support.
Support, Scotty. Support.
Yeah, it's just that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I said in the just practicing segment, this whole thing, you know, of support is a very interesting issue, I think, because it's all about pushing air, but also keeping air. It's about pushing it just at the right rate, so you don't.
Do a video about support.
It's not just. Yeah, I want to make a video about it. I'm really thinking hard about how I'm gonna explain it clearly.
Clearly, yeah.
I've been obsessed by that in the last few days.
Okay.
Doesn't look like it, but I think
No, it doesn't. That's okay. Ha ha.
a lot is going on in my head that doesn't show. So, yeah, you could breathe in and then go.
Yeah.
That's not support, but I pushed a lot of air, but it's not supported.
No.
It's not.
It's
So
not.
it's all about how much air is gonna go out, at what pace it's gonna go out.
Right.
And so your thoracic, your thorax goes, and then.
Yeah. And it goes
But
as
those
that,
muscles, what I feel is that those muscles between the ribs, they keep the rib cage from collapsing all at once.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you go, and the ribs get further away from each other.
Well, they do have a separation point in
Well,
biology.
it feels like they
do. They're elasticized.
So they go.
expand
The muscles
they
make
expand.
that go. They go a bit further away from
Because
each other.
it opens
And
up
then
the
when
oxygen.
I start-
Blood.
I keep it like that
Yeah.
for a little while before it comes back. It's not like right away.
No.
And then when it comes back, it's very. All those muscles are controlling at which rate it's going back.
Yep.
When you do Pilates, okay, I'm now a very, very big fan of Pilates. You breathe a different way. So let's say you do yoga and all those things, you breathe through your belly. And when your flute teachers always say, breathe through your belly, breathe through your belly. And then
Yeah, breathe through your belly. Belly,
okay,
belly, yeah.
belly, but
Yeah.
then you only have those muscles and you don't use your thorax when you do
Right.
that. I'm not saying don't use your belly, but I'm saying add the thorax, you know. When you do a Pilates breathing, okay? I'm going to explain it my best because I'm not a Pilates instructor.
You're not a guru. You're not a guru of that. Yeah, but you know a little bit.
I know a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what I learned is that, okay, when you breathe Pilates, you keep your belly in, and then you even kind of try to bring it in a little bit more. You engage your core, and then you open here.
Okay.
Okay, and then when you want to blow out, so you put a
expand
lot
from
of
the
air
back.
in the back. So
Because it's 360.
so I
Your
go-
whole body is not.
yeah,
it's not
360.
2-dimensional. It's 3-dimensional. We live in the third
yeah,
dimension.
and they even say that breathe in 3D.
Yeah.
So you're like this. You hold your belly in, and then you go.
Yeah.
Then all your thorax expands,
Yeah.
okay? And then before you start blowing out, you bring in, you know where your solar plexus is?
Yeah.
Well, you bring in, like you're trying to close those muscles and
Right.
bring this in together. You engage that, and then you start
Yeah.
pushing the air out.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Because
if
when
you're
you
a
start
yeah.
really feeling all those muscles, now I play the flute, I'm like, oh my God, I feel those muscles.
Yeah.
And the air, I feel I have even more air than before.
Yeah, I feel if you're a person who likes sucking in their gut, you're gonna do this pretty easily. All you gotta do is breathe in now, and then
Yeah.
things are just gonna go opening like crazy. You know, like it's
But
just gonna
I
go.
still
There's still
use
some
my
effort,
belly.
obviously, but I mean, like, there's efforts, but I mean, like, it's just kind
I'm
of
not
funny.
saying we should breathe like that exactly when we play the flute. I think it's an amazing exercise to start feeling other things in your body.
That too, and also develops the muscles in there and the muscle memory in your whole body to do that. Not like that, but to a certain point, and
Yeah,
it
that's
seems
what
better.
But
yeah.
I'll start it over my thing because
Sure.
it's a whole thing. I just wanted to say the whole thing at once. So I'm not saying you have to. No, because if not,
Yes.
it's not clear. I'm not saying you have to. I lost my train of thought. You have to breathe that way when you play the flute.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. What I'm saying is that it's a good way to learn how to feel those muscles. But when I play the flute, I still use my belly. I still breathe the three levels, which is the belly and then the thorax and then a little bit in the chest. But I feel that a lot of flutists don't even use their thorax at all. That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And the belly, I don't feel for my playing that it's doing it.
Okay.
Or it's not enough. It's a little compliment, but really what's helping me the most is that type of breathing. But I'm not saying when you play the flute you should suck in your gut. No, that's not what I'm saying. But when you practice that breathing, it can be it's how it's practiced. But then when you want to play, as I said in a video about, the Hawaii technique to breathe in more.
The Hawaii, yeah.
So you go Hawaii. And Ha is like the belly, and Wa is the thorax, and E is the chest.
Yeah.
So you have those three levels. And your shoulders are going to move a little bit as well. Because your lungs... Of course,
it's just how it works.
It's all attached,
Your lungs are here, too. They're in these little pockets, too. They go up. Yeah. It's everywhere. It's pushing things open.
When teachers say, breathe in, but I don't want you to see your shoulders move. Yeah,
that makes no
so much
sense.
stress for the poor students.
It's pure tension. That's where a lot of... not rigor mortis, that's death. That's where tension and where you get tendinitis and stuff. It starts up here and goes down.
Yeah. I had tremendous pain because as a teenager, I would push my shoulders down and breathe in. And yeah, you don't need to push your shoulders down. It's normal.
No.
It's as long as they're still attached in the right spot. What you don't want to do is this, but if it's just going up a little bit because it's... But you can feel your shoulders.
It's so minimal. It's like 4 or 5 millimeters when I can see it in
It's almost nothing.
That's it.
It's minimal, but
it's minimal,
but it still should be there.
Yeah, there has to be there. Yeah, it's part of the body's natural movement.
Try to counteract it by another movement.
If I counteract it, I feel so much stress already. I don't know how people can do that.
Because you're pushing, and then you're pushing on the other side, and you're putting so much strain on your poor body.
Yeah.
The only thing you have to think of for your shoulders is that your shoulder blades in the back. I don't even think about my shoulders anymore. It's my shoulder blades in the back. They go back and down. And then once they're in place, they're in place. I think about my back. I don't think about my shoulders. Then everything should be in place. Right. What was the question? I feel I went so far.
You did. Well, it's okay.
What was the question? I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah, but how do do you have any tips on maintaining good tone while rapidly changing high notes?
So it's all about how...
Yeah, because you said fast air, because you said low, yeah.
It's those muscles here,
Yeah.
Try that breathing. Do it 3 times a day for a week, and then...
With your instrument?
Without instrument at first.
Okay.
And then try to use those muscles that you're going to start feeling between, and then be like, oh, you can even practice it laying down. So you keep your belly in and you go, and then you bring in the muscles in front, and then, and it really, it hurts because you feel all those muscles
you feel all your organs moving around. You feel a lot of weird stuff, but that's all normal. It's just things are moving.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt that much.
It doesn't hurt.
It's just like
new
a workout.
Sensations. Just sensations.
And that way of breathing, it works the abdominals that are under, which are the ones that also protect your back. The
lower abdominals, yeah.
Not just lower, like under. You have You have different layers of muscles.
Yes.
That's the deepest muscle.
Okay.
The transverse.
It's
the only way to work it. It's through breathing. You can't do crunches. You do crunches, it's gonna work the upper layer, but not that layer. But that's the layer. That's the breathing layer. But when you feel it, it's and then you feel how you can control at what speed your air is going out. Because it's all about air. If your fingers are not well synchronated, your sound will not be as good, but usually it's the air. You can also try to sing in your flute if you have a difficulty between two notes.
Singing with flute helps a lot.
So you have a problem with the sound and you go, I don't know, let's say your thing it's E, G, A. So you go and you sing it. that helps so much because it puts your throat in the same vibration, you know, as your flute, and then so maybe that would help as well. Just practice singing while you're playing. We have a video about how to sing and play at the same time.
We do. We definitely do. Check that out.
And that helps so much with the sound. It's great.
Candace Kane again wants to know what's the best way for tuning upper register notes to match the ones on your middle and low register.
Well,
I guess basic tuning. Yeah, tuning. What's tuning? Yeah.
You mean well, I don't understand. I'm not sure I understand. Like,
I guess how to keep things in tune, you know, like with octaves and with intervals, you know, like through the registers, right?
I would practice with a tuner for a while, so your
with the
brain
tuner.
Starts making the
association.
association with, oh, that note is a bit too much like this and that, and then at one point you won't even have to think about it because you're gonna adjust naturally.
Yeah, because you know right away it's supposed to, you know what it's supposed to sound like before you even play the note. Like if you go from the high note, you know where it's gonna go, and then you just ultra fast, or you're already predisposed on where to move because you've practiced it so much.
So practicing, sometimes I put my
ears.
tuner on the stand and I look at it once in a while just as a visual reminder. Sometimes I put a drone. A drone is just a note.
Yeah, not a drone, but like an actual sound drone that plays the exact frequency.
I'm playing in G major. I'll put a G.
Yeah, G, which is like 48,000 kilohertz. It's like 47,000 kilohertz. Some type of kilohertz. Yeah. It's a.
It doesn't matter. I just write G and it plays a G, and then I play. The phrase.
Yeah.
Then I change the note. Then I try to really focus on that. But I think playing with a tuner is not magical in the way that it won't make you perfectly in tune because you still have to listen some intervals when you play blah blah blah. But it's gonna make you way better at playing in tune.
Yeah, it's reference material to keep yourself in tune on your own instrument. You get to know what your own tendencies are, fixing them or adjusting them or keeping them, but making them correct in a way so you can play properly with other people. It's a good reference tool.
Yeah, it brings you in the middle, you know, and then the little tiny adjustments you'll do with your ears later. But you can practice those with a drone when you do chamber music, all those things. With your teacher, if you play duets, or if you play with an accompanist sometimes. Then you have to trust your ears and trust that your body will match what you want to hear. But playing with the tuner is also what's going to help you being able to do those changes right away. And when you want to practice just the flexibility of playing in tune, you can do that exercise. So I play let's say I play a G, and I go like this.
Yeah.
And then I do it, let's say that day I'm doing a G major scale, I'll do it on all the notes of the arpeggio of G major. So I do all the registers. And then the next thing I do is this. But usually I put a tuner to make sure I'm really in the middle. Or like this way I was just going sharp, flat, and then I go back in the middle. And then the other thing I do is I start very soft. And then I do a crescendo and I bring it back and I try to keep it at the same intonation. Like that. You know, on each note of that arpeggio again. So your muscles are able to do all those things. Then if you have the muscles, you have the ears, then you're good. In general, you want to play lower, like flatter, you're going to send the air a bit lower, and you want to play sharper, you're going to send the air a bit higher on the embouchure plate. There's many ways to do that. You can just send the air different way with your lips. You can move your flute a little bit. Sometimes we do that, or we move our head a bit. Some people say, no, never do that. I don't know if it works.
Right.
And there's the air, and there's all those things that can work together. But I would advise to just try to do it without analyzing too much, you know. And then if you have a problem, then ask a question about that problem, you know. Try to just do the exercise without asking yourself too much about it. Like, you know, the basics of it. Now try to explore.
Exactly. So guys, if you have any more questions, let us know. We still have about maybe 10 more minutes, and then we will end the podcast. But Luke was also saying breathing while lying on your back gives an interesting perspective too. I think you mentioned something like that to me a couple of days ago about breathing on your back. Was it that? Or something like that? About how the spine is and stuff like that, and how it's lie down. I had a feeling we were talking about that a couple of days ago.
You said something about lying down
there's
and being straight.
Yeah, it's straight on the back, like letting the body's curve supposed to be on the.
And then I said, well, our spine is not totally straight.
Yeah,
there's a natural curve.
We shouldn't have it flat, I think.
And so I was like, it's good to lay on your back and relax. Sometimes it
helps
helps the muscles.
About that, and especially in the flute world, which is a bit,
When my back hurts, sometimes I'll just lay down and I feel it helps my muscles, but doesn't mean when I'm standing
that it's going to be
straight like that. Our spine is not straight. That's what I was saying. But breathing, laying down is interesting. But the thing is, you can breathe relaxed, which is the belly breathing, a bit like a baby, and you can breathe the Pilates way that I just said. Those are two different things with two different goals. And they don't feel the same at all. Because when you tuck your belly in and you're feeling those other muscles that are closer to your lungs and that are between your ribs and all that stuff. And, you know, one is more of a relaxing thing. One is more of a workout. I feel. But they're both interesting.
Totally.
And in a way, when you play the flute, you use both, I think. That's how I feel. But by using both, I feel it's helping me.
Yeah, Luke's saying like the idea of the idea is that the shoulders usually don't interfere when on your back. Yeah, I guess.
If you breathe only through your belly, but if you start using your chest, but your shoulders don't interfere.
Yeah, they don't interfere.
They don't. Yeah. Them moving doesn't change anything in your life. Them not moving will interfere because it's going to create pain.
Yeah, it creates pain. Yeah, totally.
The only thing is to let go. Your body wants to do something, let it do it.
Yeah.
Don't go against your body like that because you're going to hurt yourself. That's the only idea about it. I'm not saying pull your shoulders up. I'm just saying let them be.
Totally. Right, exactly.
Let them be. Just keep them in the back in the right spot. If your shoulder blades are in the right spot in the back, everything's fine. You don't need to overthink it.
Right.
That's all I mean by it. Because I don't know why we focus so much about the, so much effort into hurting ourselves.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
That effort could be put somewhere else.
A lot of overthinking sometimes, yeah.
That effort could be put somewhere else where it would not only not hurt you, but benefit you.
Sure.
I feel that's sad. When I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I hurt myself so much.
Yeah, likewise, yeah, totally.
And I could have just been doing something else with that energy that I used to hurt myself.
Right.
So I just want other people to benefit from
that. Of course. It's about sharing is caring.
Yeah, because for me it was years.
It's awareness, It
was years of trying to figure out why do I have that pain.
Right.
And getting rid of it.
Getting rid of it.
And we
should write a book about that. A book about just that, like the inner game of tennis, but for no pain. Just letting go. Lucas Richard Stevens, he says, thank you for sharing the experience and all. It's been a great inspiration to play again after many years of playing. Best wishes from Norway. He wants to know, how do you know when it's time to have your flute repatted? Or what kind of technical problems need pro technical attention? Well, when there's leaks, like when the flute doesn't sound like when you first bought it, when it starts feeling like you're not getting notes that usually are easy notes to get all the time, that's a big sign that you got to bring it to them and they have to repat it. Or if it's been less time than usual for the pad's lifespan, they usually put shims, like little pieces of paper, to move it and make it even again so that it makes a seal. that way you don't have to buy new pads, so that kind of saves your flute.
But sometimes it's just tiny adjustments,
Yep.
and it's not a whole padding.
There's two things. There's two ways, right? There's two words that technicians use: overhaul and clean oil adjust, or COA. And that COA is an adjusting where they put the shims and where they change the oil
That
and
should be
re-oil
done
stuff.
every year, every
2 years. If you play a lot, say you play 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, you should do it every year. If you do, let's say, half of that, 4 hours a week, you should do it about 1.5 to 2 years. They replace the oil. Usually it's between
It's good to replace the oil, because even if you don't play, I guess.
Yes, they get
gets,
gummy up, and plus
yeah.
they get gummy up no matter what through the course of
Even
time.
if you don't
It's,
play.
yeah, it could also seize. The oil does eventually just drip off and go and evaporate. So there, so COA is a lot cheaper. It's about between 4 to 10 times cheaper than an overhaul usually. Sometimes you can pay for a clean oil adjust between $100 and $300. Professional flutes might be a bit more expensive, but student intermediate models should be around that. US around that. And then overhauls are complete readjustment of the flute, replacing all the pads, fixing any tenons that have any bends inside where the keys are, where the keys end, where specific pieces are. Like the flute's anatomy, they're built in specific pieces. Some of those end pieces get worn out, so they move it so that it can fit again, so it doesn't have any play. Because the more play you get, like play means there's movement inside of the mechanisms. Those things, over the course of time, if there is movement, it actually wears down even more. It doesn't.
But the real, like...
So those are the two ways of thinking about it.
The question was more like, how do I know it's time? If you
Like I
haven't
said,
been
yeah.
in 2 years, you should go
You should
and have it
yeah,
checked.
as well. Yeah, exactly. If you have, say it's been 20 years and you haven't played on your flute, but you had your flute overhauled that year 20 years ago, I would still go and bring it to them. They'll re-oil it because you need new oil for sure. Because we get a lot of people that come back from a long time that they don't play on their flute, and their flute's been in a case for 20 years or 10 years. Bring it to the shop.
It can even
they like looking
damage
at
your
it.
flute long term.
It can damage your flute long term.
If you don't go,
exactly.
it can,
it could seize up. So that's never a good thing. And then you pick it up and you play it, and then it seizes up, and then something else happens, and that's no good either. Plus, also, cork wears out. Cork does dry. So eventually it's just going to become brittle. And those corks have to be replaced. They're not expensive, like I said.
But a good technician is usually honest and is going to tell
and they do free
you
estimates usually. Usually most of them do free estimates, so you find out and they let you know. And those are the ways to tell.
Yeah, and usually they have good after, type of warranty.
Yeah, they usually have like 6 months or a year warranty.
You can come back
you
for
can come back.
a full
a year, 6 months or whatever. Yeah.
I'll relook at it, and if there's tiny adjustments, so it's a good investment, because especially if you like your flute, you want to keep it. You don't want to just buy a new one all the time.
Exactly. And just traditional pad life, like I said, traditional pad lives, unless you're dealing with new brands of pads, 2 to 4 years. That's how long pads last usually if you're playing a lot. Because
I thought it was 8 to 10 years.
Not tradition. Not if you're playing a lot. Like your flute should have been overhauled 5, 6 years, 7 years before you should have.
That's the thing. Also, for me, it's very difficult to know when my flute has to be overhauled or anything like that. I really have to go see the technician, because when things happen, usually it's by little increments.
Oh yeah.
And then I get used to it, and I can still sound good, even though my flute is not good.
But then your flute's now getting worse and worse.
I know.
Yeah.
And then if I take your flute, though, I'm not used to your flute. So if there's something, I'll be like, I can play your flute, because it's all at once. But on my flute, the little flaws, I don't feel them. I'm used to them.
Exactly.
So it's better to just go. Now, I decided I'm just going to go every year instead of...
let them look at it, because they know what a well-maintained flute's supposed to look like. They know their default settings, and that's how you should always play your flute, because your flute has to be at its 100%, or you're not going to be playing at 100%, guaranteed. No matter how hard you try to make that flute sound good. Because you're just losing energy.
I had a student, she was so discouraged because her flute was keeping her back, And then she changed flute, because her flute, it was too much. It was cheaper to get a new one than get that one overall. And there was too much problems on it. But she's so much happier now, because she can get it makes her sound good.
Yeah.
When the other one, she was doing everything right. I was looking at her and being, you're doing everything right.
Yeah,
It must be
exactly.
your flute.
Yeah, totally. And what I don't kind of enforce right now, especially with like Straubinger and all those types of pads, is that it's kind of detrimental for the flute because yes, the these pads they do last longer, but the mechanisms don't. The mechanisms still wear down. So you're playing on a flute that has pads that are doing fine, but then the mechanism has play, and then you're wearing out the metal because you're like, oh, my pads last for another 7 years. I can just leave my flute for 7 years. No, it's not the case. You have to bring it in and let them fix the other parts of the flute because it's not just about the pads. It's about the mechanism, the pads, the tubing.
Yeah, so what you
all
mean
of
is,
those things.
let's say you get Straubingers and it does
Yeah,
last longer,
'cause
but
that's
you
their
still have to
selling
bring
point.
it every year or every 2 years
Well,
for
yes.
the other
For the
oil
other
and
stuff, of
adjustment
course.
stuff.
Yeah, you have to. You can't just assume that because you did a Straubinger conversion or you bought flutes that are a flute that has pads like that, that you don't have to go back to the shop for 5, 6, 7 years. Please don't do that. That is the worst thing you can do for your flute. Bring it. They won't touch your pads because they'll know it's Straubinger pads, and then they'll make adjustments the way they're supposed to.
And if you don't make the right adjustments, yeah, it can be detrimental to your flute on the long run.
Big
Some
time.
things, then you have to change more stuff, and then
Yes.
it's more expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the felts and corks on all the kickers and on the things, they all have to be replaced after a couple of years because they wear out. We live on a planet that things deteriorate because of oxygenization. You know, everything, you have to replace them. So do that. You'll feel a big difference. We'll do 1 or 2 more questions. Victor Coco wants to know, have you ever used a breathing exercise piece of equipment? You know, like those blow bags and stuff like that, I guess.
I
Neither have
never did, but I've seen musicians do it.
Me too. I've seen musicians do
They
it.
look-
I've tried it. I haven't owned one. I mean, like, I've tried it for 10 seconds. Yeah, that's my experience, to be honest.
Yeah. But no, I mostly read books about breathing and did some yoga and Pilates and those types of things and breathing exercises without a bag. I think the bag is an interesting tool, I guess, but I never used it. A lot of tuba players used it when I was studying.
Mm-hmm.
They were going out everywhere with that.
Lucas, I'll just tell you right now, I think you mean Philip Hamig? Like Hanig? Or maybe it's Hamig or Hanig. Oh, it must be Hamig.
Piccolos?
Hamig is a piccolo player, but he also does, I guess he does overhauls. It's worth it. He's an amazing, if it's him, it's 450 euros for an overhaul. That's
Oh my
super
God.
cheap.
Yeah.
That's really cheap. It's very expensive here and in like the United States. So yeah, you should definitely do that. And you take your flute apart. It's cool to take your flute apart if you know how to do it. Please go do a course if you can. There are courses in different parts of the world. It's a 1-day course to figure out the anatomy of the flute. If you feel confident enough to do it, but do a course before you even do that. But that's cool that you do it. It's
Cool to learn,
helpful.
but
It's
you have
cool
to learn the right way so you
yeah.
don't make
Totally.
bad stuff, you know.
Yeah, and know where to oil and know when it needs oil because some people over oil. Yeah. I think that was the last one. Where? Yeah. I think that's it for now. So yeah, guys.
So cool.
Thanks again for watching. Like I said, if you want to help us out, please go check out on our Patreon at patreon.com/theflutechannel. There you can help by donating a little as $1 or $2 a month, and that helps us make more content. And if you guys want to look into buying a new flute as well, you definitely can go and check out Flutes for Sale, the number 4 instead of FOR. It's the number 4, flutesforsale.com. At the New York Flute Center, they have the largest collection of flutes in the world, and you can use it's impressive, and you can get up to 3 or 4 flutes or piccolos sent to you to try out for up to 10 days. And if you use our code TFC, and then you can once you choose your flute, you get an extended 18th month warranty on your flute, and it's an exciting thing we have with them, and we get a cut from each sale, just to be fully transparent about that. And yeah, if you're looking into buying a new flute, they've got the biggest collection, so you should definitely check that out. Also, in about a month, on August 15th, 16th, and 17th, we have the Montreal Flute Festival, which is a festival that we run here in Montreal, and that's going to be with Emily and flutist Alexis Still from Oberlin Conservatory. They'll be here for 3 days teaching people the flute from 9 to 5 and morning classes and afternoon classes.
And there's going to be also some flutes.
Yeah,
and
there'll be flutes. Yep.
presentation in the-
Yep, you can try out flutes.
On the last day?
Yeah, on the
there's
last day, you
different-
can try out flutes with Twig Music. Twig Music will be there with PAL flutes and I think Yamaha flutes as well. That you can try out
I
a bunch of
think
flutes throughout the day.
Maybe other kiosks will be there.
I think no, I think it's just them this year. I think they got a big roundup of a lot of flutes, which is great. We might have more, but that'll be on the Friday, and that's at the MontrealFluteFestival.com. You can sign up for 3 days. It's very, very, very affordable, and it's a fun time. We love doing it. It's the 3rd year, and next year will be 4 days, and then the next year after that will be 5 days. So that's gonna be kind of exciting. And yeah, so I think that's it for now. We do this every other week. So next week we'll have a Just Practicing, and then the week after we'll have a Flute Talk podcast again. So it was an amazing time talking to you guys, and thanks for so many great questions. If you guys have any questions or comments after we're watching the video, say you're not watching it live or listening to it, please go to the video on our YouTube channel and leave a comment. And be sure to like this video, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. If you're just popping in through the live stream or just watching this, hit that subscribe button for more videos. Lets us know that you really want to watch more videos. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys.
Thanks. See you next time.
See you next time.